Right, good afternoon everybody. Thanks very much for coming to today's Media Matters talk. Today we've got a really special treat because we have two recent graduates from this very course. They both graduated in 2014. Beverly Agyeman graduated with a BA Honours in Mass Communications with a year abroad. And Kirsty graduated with the BA Honours in English Language and Communication with New Media Publishing and Creative Writing and a year abroad. So she's never going to fit that on a business card, I bet. They have both been very successful students during their time with us. And after spending a year abroad after their second year, they came back and were exemplary students in their final year. And both contributed in many ways to the general student life of the university while they were here. And this has led them on to successful careers with a number of different skills they've been able to use. And I'd like to introduce perhaps Beverly first, to fill you in more about her experiences. So I'd like to welcome Beverly Agyeman.
Hi everyone, good afternoon. Thank you for all coming. So yes, as Peter said, I graduated with a degree in mass communications with a year abroad. And just to kind of get a feeling of who's in the room, are you guys in your first year? Oh, you're all in your first year? Oh, amazing. Okay, great. I was in my first year in 2010. I don't know why you guys came to university or how you decided to get on the course that you studied, but for me, I wanted to come to uni to kind of get away from being at home, so that contributed towards that. And then picking what I wanted to study, honestly, I didn't have a clue what I wanted to do, and that's absolutely fine. So that's like my main message, to say that it's fine if you don't know what you want to do. If you do know, that's great. So sixth form, I did a mixture of subjects. So I took sociology, psychology, media and business, if I remember correctly. And I literally sat through UCAS, the UCAS website, just eliminating everything that I didn't want to do, and I was left with things in media, so mass communications. And I absolutely loved it. So I started my first year, we had New Media Publishing, which was Peter's great course, journalism with Sharon, did media, and also English Language Communications. And all of those things now, so I'll tell you what I'm doing now, fast forward to 2018. So I'm a digital communications officer, which doesn't directly link with the courses, but there are skills in that all transfer into what I'm doing now. So I work for a charity, and what my role is, we have different international centres around the world. So I'll communicate with people in Brazil, in Australia, New Zealand, America, wherever the different centres are, and find out what they're doing. We work with children at risk, vulnerable women who work on the streets, people that are dealing with HIV, lots of different counselling programmes just to help people where they're at holistically and kind of be able to bring them into society, help integrate them. We did a big thing on refugees and then a big push on mental health last year as well. Lots of different areas. And what I would say, well, after 2 years at the university, in my second year I decided I wanted to study abroad. Now, has anyone considered the kind of option of studying abroad at all? Nice. I would absolutely recommend studying abroad. It was one of like the best things for me. So I studied abroad in Long Beach in California. I decided I wanted to do that because I hadn't been to America before, and in my head the idea of going to the States was like really glamorous, really cool. I wanted to see what it was like, and California is a lovely state to study in. But the fact, it was more than just the modules that I was doing or what I was studying out there, but it was the fact of you're taking that bold step, you're leaping forward, you're striking up new conversations, networking. I still have strong links with my professors out there, with people out there. I went back to go and visit, I think a couple of years ago. In 2015, I then went to go and do my master's in TV journalism. And the reason how I was able to get into that university was because of a reference from my university in America. So that all contributed towards that as well. So if you're thinking about studying abroad, you are going to need money to like help finance yourself while you're out there. So if you're thinking about that, do think financially as well. Yeah, just don't let any reasons hold you back. I kind of thought, but I'm going to have to come back and do another year here, so my course will be 4 years instead of 3. But honestly, it is an amazing thing to do. So I definitely recommend that. While I was at uni, in my first year, I joined student radio. I joined Fame magazine. I became the president of the African and Caribbean Society, just getting a lot of opportunities. So instead of saying, okay, I'm going to go home every day after my lectures, maybe you might want to do a bit more revision, think about different areas that's linked to your course in which you can get involved, because those kind of things are what employers will definitely look towards. So is anyone here involved in anything apart from kind of studying? I know you've just started in September, but has anyone gotten involved in anything or seen anything that they think they could be interested in?
Many organizations in Lebanon before I came here.
Oh.
Yeah, volunteering. I worked in a electronic magazine.
Okay.
Yeah, and photographer.
Nice.
And organizations that help the refugees. In the
Wow.
country.
Because a lot of companies out here, organizations, would look to people that have got those links back in. So for example, with you in Lebanon, and if you can like transfer any of your photos onto them, or have you kind of like looked around that, or does that interest you at all?
Yeah, kind of. Cooperated with some writers in the BBC about telling them about my experience in there, and I provided some pictures that I took there.
Wow.
And yeah.
That's amazing. So yeah, I recommend, if you're interested in photography, if you're interested in creative writing, if you're interested in videography, now we're in the phase where you can get your iPhone out, you can get your Samsung out, or if it's another phone, get it out and just create some cool things. There's loads of free editing tools just to put things together, and that in itself goes a long way. Does anyone use Snapchat at all? Yeah, so 2016, and I was going through the interviewing process to work with Snapchat because I love them. And even the little things that they saw that I was doing, the little clips and stuff, they were like, okay, this is how you're going out, getting some quick news, bringing that to the forefront and stuff like that. And I worked with Channel 5 for a bit as well, and that's what news is about now. Who's gonna put it out quickest? A lot of people get their news from Twitter, a lot of people get their news from Facebook, so just like as a starting point before going into further researching what it is they want to actually find out. So use what you have. That's a thing that I would say. And I think if I could go back into my first year, second year of uni, I would have done that more. So I would have used what I had, and I think a lot of the things that I didn't do was because I doubted myself and compared myself constantly to saying, oh, but this person's able to do this and I haven't got this, I can't afford this camera, or I can't afford that. But honestly, what people look for is your integrity, is your hard work, and your creativity, your initiative, how proactive you are. That's what's gonna make somebody hire you. Or if you're looking to start up your own business, you're gonna be wanting those kind of characteristics from other people. So I recommend those as well. Studying in America is very different to studying here. I thought it was going to be, I mean, I didn't go there because I thought it was going to be a lot of partying, but I thought it was going to be a lot of partying and going out. I didn't realize how seriously they would take their education, and they did. It's very competitive, but at the same time, they've got such a huge communal culture as well, because they're huge on sports. I wasn't huge on sports at all, but going there, you get interested in the football, the basketball, the volleyball, whatever it is. And then with the classes, you're exposed to such a huge range of classes. So I took up things like Africana studies, Latin American studies, learned about Native Americans as well. I learned about so many different things I can't remember, but you're not restricted to what you're studying here. So it opens your eyes to a lot of different things. And as I said, making contacts everywhere you go. And I'm a kind of person, if I know there's a networking event, I absolutely hate the thought of networking events, because I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna go and just do this kind of rehearsed spiel each and every time. But having the opportunity to go and make a personal relationship with somebody at any point is unbreakable, and you won't imagine the bond that you can get. And I'm really grateful actually to Peter and the university for staying in touch with us and bringing us back, because it's opportunities like this to help influence you guys, or just to hear what you guys have to say. We're here, we went through it. There were times that I thought I was probably going to die in the LRC, or that I just wanted to give everything up because I lost my coursework and things like that. But then you realise that each and every step or mistake that you make does build you up to be able to then say, okay, in your whatever employment it might be, Bev, we need you to go and get an interview with this person, can you go? And instead of saying, oh my God, I can't do it, you've learnt these other skills to be resilient and to say, actually, but why can't I? Because if I don't go, they're just gonna ask somebody else to go. So why would that person be able to do it and I wouldn't be? It's good because you stop doubting yourself and questioning yourself as much. So after I did my master's at City University, that was in TV news journalism, I then went travelling for a bit. Went travelling for about 7 weeks with my friend Kirsty and another of our friends around America. That was just because I was so tired of education by that point, and I was like, okay, before I go into actual full-time work, I want to do what I love, and it left me so broke. But it's something that, you know, you can't imagine those memories. I can't explain to you what I did, and you're gonna understand. If you go traveling 7 weeks around America, your experience is gonna be totally different, and it's gonna open your mind, and you're gonna see and experience things that you didn't experience. Someone else might go traveling to Japan or to Malaysia or wherever you might go. If you're a fan, do we have people that are fans of traveling or holidays and stuff like that? Yeah, so definitely do it and plan for it. I can't recommend it enough, especially if you're on a course that involves media, that involves communications. You need to understand how people in different countries, in different cities, in different towns, your next door neighbour, how they communicate is a different way from the way you might communicate or understand different types of communication. And if you're involved in the media, journalism here will be different to journalism in the United Arab Emirates, or it might be different to journalism in Kenya, but you kind of get what I'm saying. So see as much as you can, see as much of the world as you can, and with that, bring things back that, again, employers will treasure. So if you've gone and you've been in New York for even 2 days and you managed to speak to someone different and gotten a specific story, and you're like, oh, so now I understand more about. I'll give you an example. When I was in California, I made a friendship with a guy who was really into drag. I know of what drag queens do, but he had to, because he loved that kind of side career so much, there were different ways in how he had to be able to finance that and afford it, because, yeah, he was buying expensive clothes, expensive heels, expensive wigs, and even to kind of like look into the American drag culture was really interesting, and that was something that I've then brought back to here, and that would like made a really interesting topic and things that people don't necessarily think of. So anything can be of value. So don't underestimate what you know and what you have. Do what you love what you do. Yeah, I told you a bit about what I'm up to now. I've always been kind of like business-minded as well, so I didn't study that, but I know that I've always wanted to be able to have my own things and put my own things out there. So aside from working as a digital communications officer at the charity, I'm also starting up 2 different businesses. So one which is in events, so putting up events to be able to unite communities and stuff like that. And the other business that I'm setting up is kind of in line with setting goals and looking at the long term, but doing it together and providing a safe space for people to be able to come and talk. So we're not always behind our phones, and there's a lot of statistics that come out about suicide rates, depression, anxiety. I have very strong views on life in general. However, particularly with self-confidence, with self-love, how you treat one another, compassion and all that kind of stuff, justice, integrity. So I believe in those things very strongly, which is what also got me into studying journalism, studying media. So I would say this is your first year of uni so far. Don't take any day for granted, because we all know how short life is literally, and what you have to offer might be something that somebody else will never hear. So kind of live by the little mantra of don't go a day without doing something that's not on your mind. So if justice is on your mind, it could be the littlest action that you take that also influences somebody else, because someone's always watching what you're doing, how you're reacting and stuff like that. But also be honest, be transparent, and be someone that someone can go to, because if you're approachable, people will be able to come and tell you their stories. They'll be able to come and say, okay, can you help me with this? You will then be able to build links and networks, and it's all about helping each other at the end of the day. So I'm going to end here and hand it over to Kirsty. She's going to tell you a bit about her experience, her time. We studied a lot of the same subjects and we lived together in the final year, but her story is going to be completely different. So thank you, and ask me any questions at the end.
That's great. At the end, I want you to think of questions to ask relating to your first year, because I think that one of the things in common with all of our best students is that there's this accelerated learning that they go through in their final year, and our best students all seem to improve dramatically for their final year. But I'm interested in, personally, how can I actually get you doing some of these things in the first year? So we're going to actually try to put that onto them at the end, what they could recommend for the first year, how to get people going in the first year. So I'll let Kirsty Peters take it from here.
Hi everyone, I am Kirsty, and I graduated in 2014 in English language and communications with new media publishing and creative writing, with a year abroad. So whenever people ask me for my degree, I just sigh internally because it's so long to read out. So I had a great time at Hertfordshire. My first year was amazing. I did party hard. However, I did work even harder, and I got involved with a lot of social things like ACS and other organizations around the university. And I got stuck into uni life. When I first came, however, it was a different story. Within my first week of joining, I was like, I want to go home. I don't like people. I can't do this anymore. And that was because I didn't open myself up enough to kind of making new friends, getting involved in new experiences. Although I'm quite outgoing, loud, bubbly person, I can be very shy, and that kind of crept in when I first joined university. So I had to kind of put myself out there and try to make friends. So I would go to social events, I'd go to debates, I'd go to talks, I'd go to anything where I could actually meet people, and I stepped out of my comfort zone firstly, and that enabled me to kind of break out of my shell and kind of continue my uni life. I also did a year abroad, like Beverly. I actually studied in New York, and the study abroad idea was kind of planted in me in my first year, so the year that you guys are in now. And I love the idea of actually going to experience something completely different, just in a whole different country. So I applied, kind of saved up as well, so I wouldn't be broke going to there. And it was an absolutely amazing experience. Kind of just like Beverly said as well, I cannot put it into words. The experience was completely different to Hertfordshire, but different in a good way. I got to meet so many different people. I got involved in organizations over there. I actually got involved in modeling in the university as well. I did fashion shows, I did all sorts of things, and I got to study subjects that were similar to what I was studying here. So I did media, I did journalism, art, and I did French. And the reason I did art was because kind of growing up, I was always really creative, and I kind of always wanted to be an illustrator and artist, but I was never pushed. So I thought in my study abroad year, because the subjects were a bit flexible, I could branch out and study something that I've always wanted to do. So I came back and completed my fourth year at Hertfordshire, and we did work hard, Beverly and I, in that final year. However, we did have a good kind of work-life balance. In university, it's not all about working every single day, revising every single day. You do need to give yourself breaks and give yourself treats as well. In our final year, we did find ourselves at the Forum many times. However, kind of in that year, it kind of really quietened down, but we were still there enjoying ourselves, but still working hard at the same time, because it is really, really important. What I also did in my final year was take advantage of the free counselling that they offer at Hertfordshire. I think they still do that now, and I would definitely suggest to you if you want to do it. You do not need to be, going through depression, anxiety, anything like that. If you just want someone to talk to, if your studies are getting on top of you, and you just want to kind of air out your problems to somebody that's not your friends, your family, I would definitely suggest the counselling service. I had a counsellor who was absolutely amazing. He helped me through a lot of my issues with my own depression and anxiety, and enabled me to be a more confident, more optimistic person. And so yeah, I definitely suggest that. I graduated with a 2-1 in 2014, and after graduation I did not go straight into a 25k graduate job, even though that is the dream. I was actually working at Ocado in the customer service department. So they're an online supermarket if you don't know. And I just want to let you guys know that it's okay to come out of uni and not go straight into a graduate job, because it's not always going to be that easy. I worked this job for a few months and then kind of decided to quit my job and go traveling America. We traveled to New York, California, Miami, and Atlanta. And it was just phenomenal. Like Beverly said as well, being able to just take a break from education and not going straight into kind of a 9-to-5 every day. It was good to have that balance and to be able to kind of just sit back and do nothing. We traveled around those cities. We visited so many different landmarks and saw so many sites. And the experiences that we actually gained from that helped us a lot when we came back to the UK. So when I came back, I actually started a job in a primary school where I was teaching an art club to year 3 to year 6, which was kind of amazing for me. Because of what I'd studied in Hertfordshire, they didn't say that I had to kind of do any more studying, or I didn't need to get a teaching qualification. They were happy with my degree, and so I went in, I started teaching these kids, and it was an absolutely amazing experience. And kind of aside from that, when I'd come back from my traveling in America, I decided to focus more on my artistic and creative side. So as I mentioned earlier, I studied art whilst I was doing my study abroad. And so I wanted to focus more on that, and I actually started up my own illustration kind of brand business called Kirsty Art, and I started to do custom illustrations for people. My art was predominantly digital, so I create my art on my iPad where I use my finger, and I used a lot of kind of techniques and things that I'd learned from my course to help set up my business. So in Peter's course we did web design. So I actually created my own website for my business. We also did animation as one of the modules. So I kind of already had that starting block in the business. So I was able to save money and do everything myself. I didn't need anybody to help me design my business cards. I did all my press information, I did everything. And that was from what I had actually learned in Hertfordshire. So I started this business, and it was kind of slow starting as most businesses are, but my art was actually getting out there. At that same time as well, I started doing spoken words. And in my creative writing at Hertfordshire, we actually did a poetry module. And that is what kind of sparked something in me. And I wanted to kind of perform poetry more. I wanted to kind of get out my message through words. And because I'd done this module, I was in a better position to write poetry. So I started performing in Hertfordshire, all over London, and some of them I'd started to get paid for as well, which was amazing. So I was kind of doing my art, my poetry, and my teaching job as well. So in 2016, I started to take my art more seriously. I began to focus more on art and kind of mental health. My mum sadly passed away in the beginning of 2016. So when that happened, my art took a different turn, and that's when I got into mental health. So I'd create pieces that would depict how I was feeling, my depression, my anxiety, and that actually began to be my own art therapy. My art started to take off. I was asked to participate in an exhibition called Unmasked Women. So this was my first ever exhibition. I did it, the BBC got involved, and I had an interview with them. So that was my first ever press exposure. And 2 weeks after that, I did my first solo exhibition, and that was for my 25th birthday. So I kind of did everything myself, designed all the posters myself, which I used some of the skills I learned in like my design for print modules, in new media publishing. I just drew on everything I had learned and was able to create and put on everything myself. So I did that, and kind of after that exhibition, more press started to get involved in the message I was sharing. One of the main messages behind my art is you are not alone. I started to push this message, I started to do talks, and the BBC got involved again and asked if I wanted to be on the lunchtime news, which I agreed. So that was the biggest press thing I'd had at that time. And after that, everything kind of started to come in. I've worked with BuzzFeed twice. I've worked with ITV twice. I've been on the ITV News as well. I've been in the Evening Standard, and these are all to do with my art. The Huffington Post, I've featured in 5 articles, which is amazing. And so I started to get more involved in spreading my message around. So I started to talk in various universities, so that's something that I do now. I go around and I speak about my story kind of in more detail to do with my art and my mental health, and I exhibit my art pieces, and I've actually been lucky enough to go into a prison. I went into Belmarsh prison last year, and I spoke to the inmates about a particular piece that was actually up all around the prison. So I was able to give a whole speech about it and speak to some of the inmates, and to hear them kind of tell me that my art is everywhere in the prison, that it's up in their cells, was just an amazing experience. I've also started to do corporate events where I go and do the same sort of thing, exhibit and talk and kind of meet new people and use like the social skills that I've actually learned as well to kind of be more open and to meet new people. I also got involved in an animation project which was shown in a cinema in Hackney. This was really exciting for me because it was the first time I was getting back into animation after I'd left the University of Hertfordshire. Yeah, it was a great experience to see kind of my art, the final product, on a big cinema screen. That was amazing. Last year I did my second exhibition, which was a group art exhibition, and that received press as well, and I had kind of more people getting involved. All this time I'm still working the art teaching job that I mentioned earlier. And I actually came back to Hertfordshire last year to participate in a business competition called Flair. I decided to join the competition actually after Beverly mentioned it to me, because she was going to apply, and she said, well, this is our last year. This is something for you guys to kind of consider later on, but if you do have a business idea, if you are working on something, I would say when you get that idea, write it down, start to work on it. Just because you're in your first year, it doesn't mean that you can't set up a business. It doesn't mean that, you know, you can't achieve things on the side, you know, whilst trying to get your degree. And, you know, that is one of the things I do regret, not starting up my kind of illustration brand business whilst I was in uni, because I did feel I did kind of waste a lot of time. So I decided to come back. I pitched my idea of Black and ethnic minority greetings cards, as I felt that there was a gap in the market for those. So we went through the whole process of the competition, and it was very, very beneficial. And what I would say is use the resources that are available to you whilst you're at uni, because there does come a point when you graduate when you're not able to access those anymore. So if you do need any help, just go on StudyNet. Just use everything that is available, everything that is free. Get involved, because it will benefit you. If you're not a very social person and you want to get out more, look for events that you can go to. Talk to your classmates, ask for their number, ask for their Snapchat even. Communicate with people, and as I said, if you do have an idea of a business, anything, try to evolve it from now. Don't let it sit in your head and wait. And don't put off things. Don't say, okay, I'll do it next year, because your second year will come, you'll have more work, you'll have more deadlines, you'll have, you know, more things that you need to do. So work on your ideas kind of when they come into your head. So my plans for the future, I'm actually publishing a book this year, which is really exciting. So that's something I'm working on. And again, I'm using a lot of my skills I learned in my English language major and my 2 minors to create and put this book together. I'll also be designing the artwork that's in it, which is amazing. I'm illustrating 2 other books at the moment as well, and I have kind of bigger plans for my greetings cards line, loads and loads of big plans. Just advice, as I said, is just make sure you're doing what you love as well. Enjoy it. And if I could do uni again, I probably would. It was a lot of hard work. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that it's a walk in the park, it's not. It is a lot of hard work, but it is so worth it at the end when you walk up and you are graduating on that stage. It's amazing. So work hard, have a good kind of balance as well, and just enjoy your time at university. University is for enjoying yourself as well as working hard. So that's what I have to say today. Thanks. Oh, just some of my art, just so you guys can see. I know talking about it and seeing it is 2 different things. So these are some of the pieces that I've created, and these are pieces that are on my iPad. So it just ranges, some of them are portraits, some of them I've been inspired by kind of particular events, particular people. So this is the type of stuff, if you can see it, that I create. So yeah. But yeah, that's it.
Very nice.
I remember Kirsty's drawings in first year, and she is continuing to develop her skills. Every time I see her drawings, they seem to get better and better. So just because you're not the finished article now doesn't mean you can't start from small beginnings and come somewhere. One of the reasons why I wanted to invite Beverly and Kirsty in today is because they have what I would describe as portfolio careers, in that they have come out of their education with a range of skills, and they're actually taking every opportunity and using them in different ways, and they're gradually building up their earning potential and how much they enjoy what they're doing as well. The opportunities are increasing over the years, and because they have a range of skills, it means they can grab more things around. So I think that's really valuable to keep that in mind when you're doing something that you really hate, like web animation. You might find a skill for it later on. You don't do web animation, but I used to teach it, and everybody really found it difficult in first year. Can we have some questions?
I have 2 questions, and my first question is for both of you. Nowadays we are seeing rising opinions of things like university degree actually captures students rather than giving them a platform. And opinions like that, it makes us, or at least it makes me rethink about the entire process of university and how it can actually help me to grow in future. So in reference to that, I would like to ask you both about how far university degree have actually helped you to achieve what you have achieved in your career. And my second question is for Beverly. You talked about making contacts, and I would like to ask you that what are the ways you suggest us that we can adopt to create contacts and links with people around us? Thank you.
So the first question, kind of how useful is a university degree? It is a debate that's kind of ongoing, and I know especially because the fees have gone up now, it would be something that you would kind of think long and hard about. But kind of knowing what I know now and the experience that I went through, if I knew this and I'd kind of gone into uni again, I would do the whole process again, because the skills that I learned throughout my 4 years in university and the experiences as well, there's nothing that can match that for me personally. And I feel like kind of going to uni, getting more independent, having this independent learning is such a good kind of thing to experience in life, and I think is very, very useful. Even if you don't go into your exact fields that your degree is in, I still feel like a degree is useful kind of in society, really, and it has helped me in the jobs that I've done. When I do interviews, when I speak about my education, it's always helpful to have that, I have this degree. So, yeah.
Yes, so what I'll say about the university degree is something that Kirsty actually touched on earlier about making use of the facilities and the equipment that you have. So for me, once I left uni, I was like, oh my gosh, I had camera equipment, editing equipment to use for free here, and I didn't take advantage of that as much as I could have. And I think, maybe it's a thing that I just didn't really think about it as much. Thought that I would get into a great job straight away, they would give me all the stuff. So I would say it's so helpful being at university because you have trained professionals from their individual fields that know what they're talking about, so that are teaching you to take good hold of that knowledge that they're providing you with, and the practical stuff as well as the equipment, the resources, the facilities are all for free, and seeing what you can turn out of that. So whether it's wanted to go into making short films, documentaries, having quiet spaces that you can use, whatever it might be. And as Kirsty said as well, the free counselling that's offered, if you want to make use of that, then go ahead. And the people that are around you. So there's different societies, there's salsa, there's baking, there's loads of different people that you can talk to that can help you with your assignment. So never see somebody as just another student. That person next to you, in front of you, behind you, has got their own story. They've got their own techniques, their own skills, so much that you can learn from one another and share. And then I do understand what you mean about a lot of people think that the value of having a degree is lowering, but if you find yourself in university, make the most out of it. So, like Kirsty said, if I could come back and do it again, I would. And we were on the way from the station, and even things like Asda and the Galleria, I was like, oh, Asda, Galleria, these little things that I had to go and work at the Galleria every weekend and stuff like that. But you look back at it and you're like, wow.
It's amazing.
You miss it so much. So definitely enjoy your university experience, both the social side and the academic side. In terms of networking and making contacts, like I said, if this is a networking event, I don't like it. And one of my full-time jobs that I had as well was an events coordinator. So as you can imagine, there were lots of networking events that we had to go to and stuff like that. But I kind of like more authentic networking and being yourself. So as I'm talking to you right now, after this, come down, I'll give you my email address. If you want anything else, I'll help you with that. So it's just asking people questions. Even if you want to ask that person their email address or where you can find more about them, you don't know how that can help. And while I was at the university, I also worked in the diversity and equality and diversity research section. I can't remember what it's called anymore.
I think it is still
equality and diversity. Yeah, so I worked there, and one of the big things that in the career service as well, what I utilised was LinkedIn. So a lot of people in LinkedIn are there looking for opportunities or bringing opportunities out. So I'd say use LinkedIn, use social media, but for your advantage. So if you're on Twitter, you can type in different things that are hashtags, using social media to your advantage. So there's a lot of things out there that social media, can be quite depressing or it's hard, but it's how you use the things that are available to you and the way in which you manage to turn it around. So in every situation, in every circumstance that you find yourself, kind of think, how can I bring the best out of this for myself or for somebody else? There's always a place that you can go with it. So making contacts. It could be searching online, it could be where you are, just striking up conversation and then keeping in touch with people. So, and they'll always remember you. As long as, you've good character, then they'll always remember you, and always remember Sharon and Peter, and they remember us. So it's really, really nice.
Any more questions? Yes, Paige.
You said you two travelled together to America. Where was your favourite place to go?
Oh,
I know mine.
Where was yours?
Oh, actually, okay, mine's between California and Miami.
Miami. We've travelled since, okay, this is a best friend that I've actually made in university.
Yeah.
We didn't know each other before, and it was just from being on the same courses. We just started talking. She had like green hair or something one day, and it was pink hair. It was crazy, and I thought, oh, like she looks cool. So I went to speak to her. Just stuff like that. So kind of since then, we built a really strong friendship. We have travelled. We've been on, I don't even know how many holidays together. A lot of holidays. But yeah, Miami, definitely a favourite. We've been there 3 times together.
Yeah, it was very fun, and yeah, like California, I see that as like my second home because I made friends out there that I consider to be family now. My professors out there that I still talk to and stuff like that. We keep in touch, so that's also kind of on par like my favourite place that I've travelled to. I think.
I have to say, going back to this, the friendship element, I remember very well the groups of people through the years that really helped each other. And I remember Beverly and Kirsty together with Jennifer Craig and Johnson. I remember Johnson started a business called Pause, which is still running successfully today.
He's very successful now.
He started that in first year.
Yeah.
Jennifer had a business called Jelly and Cream.
Yeah.
Making snapbacks, and they laughed at me because I didn't know what a snapback was. And I still doubt the explanation about how it is. And the friendships that you make and just the links that you make in first year are extremely supportive because it's so easy. You're all first years, you're all new. If you talk to somebody you haven't talked to before, the odds are that most people they've talked to, they haven't talked to before. So it's much more fluid, the ability, I think, to make friendship groups. At first year, would you say?
Yeah, definitely.
A lot of the people that we're still friends with now and still talk to, we made in our first year of university. Like Jennifer Craig and Johnson, who Peter mentioned, we still talk to them kind of on a regular basis. We're actually bridesmaids for Jennifer Craig's wedding. Yes. So yeah, it's just these connections that you build. It's just so important to just talk to people, smile at people. I know kind of us, in London, we can kind of walk around with like a very straight face. Just smile at people, talk to them, talk to someone that you're sitting next to in class.
Yeah, and also group work, because I remember group work sometimes, I really like working with people, but sometimes group work really did used to try me. And it was so difficult, but it's kind of like, it's real life. There'll be times when working with people is really easy and enjoyable. There's times when it won't be, and that is the reality of life. And it's kind of like what you can bring to the table, and within that, you then find how to build other people up, but build yourself up, and how to react to this. I mean, there's just so many little lessons. I'm sure even in the space between you starting in September to now that it's January, that if you look back and really process things, sometimes you might feel like you don't want to get up and go to a lecture, but then taking the step to go and do that, that's something that you've kind of already gone through. So all these little things are paving the way for where you're going to be, and I'm sure some of you will be coming back in like 6 years time, 7 years time to then help the next group of people that are here. So yeah, I wish you guys all the best.
I'm sure they'll both agree with me that group work is really important, and using your tutors.
Using your tutors, finding mentors, just as we keep on reiterating, use the resources available. I didn't use all the resources available. I could have been doing a lot more. So this is just advice that I'm giving to you guys because I didn't take kind of advice that was given to me. So yeah.
Thanks very much.
If anyone wants business cards, I'll